Everybody can hear me? I don't know. Yes? No? Hello. Well, I'm Angelo Schalley. I'm the CTO and founder of Akave. And today I'm going to talk to you about how you can scale beyond the cloud and how you can monetize your data. But first, a little intro about me. I've been in the Web3 space, let's say, for like 5 years now. Seen a lot of very interesting projects being built. And we're trying to add to that, and started my journey in the Filecoin ecosystem, and I'm really excited to bring this to you today. A little bit of my background is I've been building data centers for the last 20 to 25 years almost. So I have a big enterprise focus, and my proficiency comes out of like the network space and the storage space. So we'll be bringing all that to the decentralized platform here at Akave. So let's dive into that. Okay. First of all, a little bit of context setting. To give you an idea, like the deep in market, the Gen AI, and especially everything around content creation is like a huge market, as you can see. It goes into the trillions, billions of AI generated images. God knows how much photos and everything and content, images, video being created every day. So we'll talk about that in a little bit on how we can work towards data monetization, which is a part of our stack. So very important to know, data monetization needs very specific data architectures. It goes around like how you tier your storage, how you manipulate it, how you move it around, how you make that work for you as much as possible. Especially also around what people are looking for today is that when they bring out content, they want to make sure that it stays within some geolocation. Very important. You see this in the cloud as well. Coming from a GDPR country myself, from Belgium, I get like involved with that a lot. So very, very known to me, and bringing that to Akave as well. One of the other things is that people want to have full visibility in what's happening with their data today. I think it's very important to know today that, when you put something in the clouds, it mainly looks like it's going into like a black box. But, at Akave, we believe that transparency is very important. So we'll get into that on the technical side in a little bit. So a little bit about the cloud and some context setting as well. Everybody knows that, even when it is your data and you upload it, basically within the cloud, people can do with that whatever they want. You see that data breaches happen, data gets lost, certain backups go wrong. And you have limited visibility in that, and also like not much to say as an individual, right? Unless you're a super large company. When it comes to building an application, which I will go into a little bit later, is that there's an excessive amount of egress costs once you store something, and a lot of people think it's very interesting and they start downloading it or interacting with it, you incur a lot of costs. And then the lack of visibility into like the pricing in general. Obviously there's some security implications as well. Now, blockchain does solve a lot of these challenges, like we will see, but they're very hard to use, especially integration with storage, especially if you want to integrate like storage with something else like compute or AI and use that for it. So users or builders need easy to use bridges or connected all together. So we'll talk about that. So why Akave? A little bit more context setting on why Akave is important. All the data that you're storing on Akave gets indexed basically on our chain. So the entire data structure, the metadata associated with it, all the nodes that we have and all the data that's distributed over those nodes will be indexed and will be visible on chain for you as an individual, especially when we involve it with encryption. So it's only visible to you. So nobody knows how the data structure will look like, or nobody will actually know where the data chunks are. And, obviously the data chunks themselves are also, immutable, but also encrypted from that perspective. We have a built-in feature around replication, so your data is resilient and reliable. We use erasure coding for that. It's a super optimized way to make sure that, and it's resilient, but also you don't store too much, you don't duplicate your data too much. And then obviously like making it programmable through smart contracts that you can do. Our chain is EVM compatible, so that's definitely the way to go. And a bonus on that, because it's, the way it's built and the way it's like interacting with all the storage nodes, and we're using Filecoin as well, we can lower that cost substantially for our users today. Okay, so the hot layer itself comes down to these three main buckets. It's like the data programmability, making sure that, there is security involved around everything you're storing, and then the data monetization part, which let me talk about that for a little bit, because like from a builder's perspective, I got this question yesterday a lot on what that means, so I'll dive into that a little bit. Is that a lot of people today are storing data in the cloud, right? And as a person or as a builder or as a company, you store it. And what you see is that once you host it and it gets really, really interesting to use for others, people will start using it on basically through your application or through your infrastructure, and you'll see that you incur a lot of like egress costs, and you don't have any extra way of making money on that, especially not from an individual. Now, what we provide is that we basically, on the protocol level, we will split the egress from the ingress, where you would be able to delegate access to what you're providing through our network. So every time anybody else interacts with your content or LLM or whatever you're storing on the Akave network, you will not be paying for that interaction, because you only paid for like the actual storing part. But on top of that, because you can delegate it to a smart contract as well, making it programmable, you will be able to even take a cut or monetize it while people are interacting with it. Okay. Question, I don't know, for the audience, who stores their data today on the cloud? I think most people do. I don't know if I see some hands there, at least one. Usually I see 95% of the people that are storing their data today in the cloud, which is the easy way to do, right? They have a good UX, really good to use. That's also why, from an Akave's perspective, we want to make it super easy and super simple to use. Later today, we have a workshop, so every builder or anybody who wants to come try it, how easy it is to store data on Akave, feel free to come by. I think it's at 2 p.m. In room 3, so anybody who wants to come try it out, feel free to come. We'll do a little workshop or a little demo around it to make everybody acquainted with it. But you can see like the deep in flow today. You see that devices all over the world will be generating data. Doesn't matter, from geospatial to any supply or healthcare data. And that goes into the cloud, which is again centralized. And you see it a lot in a lot of the deep in solutions today. And the main issues that we just talked about, like they stay the same, right? Even if you decentralize everything around it, the storage point is usually the central point there, where you still have expensive egress fees. It's region constraints are very important. And still there is not like that visibility into where you're storing it or how it's being stored. Now, how does that look with Akave and combined with like other compute providers? You see here that you basically can just swap it out. And we'll get into the technology in a little bit, but Akave will just sit in between in combination with Filecoin, so you can choose which tier you want. You want the hot storage tier or more like the warm storage tier through Filecoin. So you have the optionality of interacting with both through Akave, through our easy-to-use CLI or SDK. Now, before we get into the technology itself, these are the two products at Akave. We call it our Akave Oasis, and we call it like our O3 product. The O3 part stands for our S3 compatible API, and that's also why it's so easy to swap out storage, for instance. Like a lot of people will be storing it on AWS or will be storing it on Google, which is fully S3 compatible. At Akave, we provide you with an S3 compatible interface, so you can basically just swap it out and you're storing decentralized right away with just the same kind of code you're using, either it be Bodo 3 or whatever custom implementation you did. And then the Akave Oasis, that's our protocol itself through our blockchain and through our nodes, which will provide you that on-chain visibility. Will give you like the replication policy, the erasure coding, and the encryption built in. Now, I just talked about geofencing and like the tech stack that we provide. As you can see, we have our SDK CLI, we have our AWS compatible S3, and then we have our geofencing built in. You can see that these are like 3 zones that we have here. One could be a fully open zone, which we're running today as our testnet. The other one is more of like an enterprise-focused zone where you can geofence it, for instance, in a specific geolocation. And this is where you have the optionality of structuring your data geo-specific based on your needs. Few use cases. The two big ones that we're definitely working on towards today is the data lakes and the deep-in side. Backup is obviously a very easy approach to that because like most of the tools integrate very easily with the S3 compatible API. So that's an easy capture there. I put this slide in here just for reference. This is a lot to digest, but it's kind of like how we bring on-chain data lakes at Akave, where you can see an entire flow, kind of an architecture on how the compute and the storage could work together on different tierings. It brings all the features and everything ready to go. Now, on what we announced so far, today we are at our Yucca testnet. We announced that a couple of weeks ago at DEF CON in Bangkok. What that means is that that's a permission testnet right now, so everybody can come and play around with it. Our tech is available to play around with on docs.akave.ai, or you can later come to our workshop. We're also doing a workshop later at ETH India. If people are interested in doing that as well. And what that means is that later in the Sunita testnet, we'll be moving to a more incentivized testnet, which I would say stay tuned there, which would be in a couple of months. And then we'll go mainnet TGE later 2025, somewhere halfway or later. So to give you like easy way to join us, our testnet, feel free to join through your QR code or follow us on X. If you want to reach me personally, my Telegram is on here, or if you want to just email the entire founders at Akave, which is Daniel, Stefan, and myself, who founded Akave, you can reach us directly there. And besides that, thank you very much for your time, and feel free to reach out to me and have a conversation, and hope to see you all at the workshop today or at ETH India, where we will be also bringing out prizes for everybody to come build on Akave. So hopefully I see you there, and hopefully you can spread that prize pool to everybody. Thank you very much.